Kunihi ka mauna I ka laie. O e ale ale la I wailua. Ukia e la I ka lani. Ka pau e o ka waiki. Kunihi ka mauna I ka laie. O
Aloha and welcome to William Aila Presents, a show of interesting issues around Waianae, places, people, things with implications far beyond. Tonight, I'm happy and honored to have with me as my guest Gigi Kokuyo of Hoa Aina o Makaha, as the children know it, the farm in Makaha. Aloha Gigi and welcome.
Aloha, thank you.
Now, the farm in Makaha, as everyone in Waianae knows, is right next to Makaha Elementary School. So that's the physical location, and all the children that go to Makaha Elementary, and actually children from all over the island of Oahu actually get a chance to experience that. Before talking about the farm, Gigi, let's talk a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up as a youngster, as those children that you are so good with? At that age, where did you grow up, and what were some of the things that influenced you?
Well, I am from Italy.
Italy?
That's why my strange accent, you see. So,
You're not talking pidgin?
no, not yet.
Not yet.
And I was born in Italy, in the northern of Italy, next to Switzerland. Very close. In fact, my grandfather's house was just maybe 100 feet from the Swiss border.
Through a rock.
Yeah, our neighbor was a Swiss guy. And up in a small hill, my grandparents had a house there. Though I grew up in a village next to it, my father was a baker, baking bread every single day. And my mother was used to sew clothes, yeah. And well, my grandparents had a small farm, very few acres, very few, where they would grow mainly corn and grapes and potatoes and wheat. And they have some animals, one cow, one ox, and chicken and rabbit. We were practically self-sufficient. Make our own butter, our own cheese, our own wine, you know.
Wow.
We had meat because we have animals, and all the vegetables from the gardens. So,
I take it there was no 7-Eleven in the village where you could
well, there was not even electricity.
okay.
So my grandparents grew up and they died with no electricity at the time. So the life was really, it was tough sometimes, but really good. Not that they always liked to do the kind of work, because they always liked to play soccer, you see. And instead of doing that during vacation, I had to help in the fields. But what can you do? When I was 11 years old, I entered the seminary to become a Catholic priest. I was 11. And that the time was like that because my parents were kind of poor, they couldn't afford to pay any of my studies, but I wanted to become a priest to help people. There was a priest in my village, he was excellent, very good with people, he was very generous with the kids, and he had a nice motorbike. Oh, that was fantastic. But that was the, and so for 14 years I was studying. Sometimes it was very tough to study. I went through college and I went to university, I went through theology, and eventually at 25 I got ordained. And I became priest. My village is really small. It's a very small village, everybody knows everybody. And based, at the time especially, based on agriculture. And practically, the interesting thing is that there was one family that controlled all the land in the village. And everybody was practically farmers who would farm for this big family. And I remember, for instance, working on these silkworms to cut the silk, and we will sell it to this landlord and stuff. And so all these things that they're really very clear images of this place. I just came back from Italy a couple of weeks ago. Still, many people have their own garden. And when they talk with them among themselves, they talk about their gardens, their tomatoes, their potatoes. It's wonderful because this feeling is still there, and the feeling of the land that is something special is still there. And well, when I went to study, and I went to the seminary, and I became a priest, I get kind of detached from that because it was a different kind of world.
And so after you were ordained, did the church then say, well, where would you like to go, or did you get to?
Well, I was ordained in this institute that it was a missionary institute, so I would go somewhere in the world. And I asked to go to Brazil. Instead, they kept me in Italy for 2 years.
Okay.
And eventually I asked to go to work in Africa, to work in a leprosy colony. Well, they sent me to the Philippines. So, I mean, you ask for something, you get something else. And
Okay.
in fact, I didn't even know where the Philippines were, so I had to go buy a map and look where the Philippines were when it was assigned. So eventually, after I studied some English in England, I ended up in the Philippines. And that was in 1971.
1971. Okay.
Yeah. 1971, there was a lot of movements in the Philippines because Mr. Marcos was planning to declare martial law, and he did it. September 21st, 1972, he declared martial law. That means all the rights of the people were curtailed. No protest, no demonstration. Many people got arrested, many people were put in jail. And that was really a tough time. I was living in an area of 200,000 people, squatters, all squatters. People that they came from the provinces, from the south, from the north, looking for jobs in Manila. And they will squat in the land that belonged to the government land. What happened is that we had a lot of problems. No water, no electricity, sanitation awful. So we had a clinic, we had some kindergartens, we had some cooperatives that we started, but mainly we started to organize people about issues. Like the water, for instance. The water. And we learned that when many people come together and they push the issue, finally sometime they listen.
Okay.
They listen. So we started like 300 people every single day could go to the city hall with buckets to fill up the buckets at the city hall because we didn't have water, so,
Right.
so it was a symbolic, symbolic
this
act,
visual too, right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eventually, after 3 months, the mayor come out, and he comes straight to me and he says, "So, what is your problem?" I say, "Oh, no, I'm not Filipino. What do you talk? Why you talk to me? Talk to these people. These are your people." So, and in fact, they brought us some water, some electricity, but the main issue was the land. In the meantime, Mr. Marcos was arresting people, torturing people, people were disappearing. So I couldn't stay quiet. And on Sundays, our celebration of the Mass was a reflection of what was the life in our community. And people would express their problems. And Marcos will send his spies every Sunday to see what we're talking about. But I always introduce them to the people and, give a sign of peace to them. It's not their fault that they are here. So,
right. They're the messengers.
Yeah.
Right.
Eventually, because of this, one day they came, they picked me up from the house, and they brought me back to Italy, accompanied by 2 military.
They took you from the Philippines and escorted you all the way back to
Rome.
To Rome.
Yeah.
Because you were speaking truth to justice.
That's it. So, and that happened. So that was, it was really a very hard time in things to take. But, well, when we were two of us, and in the plane, my friend said, you know, let's cry for 10 minutes, and after, let's plan. So we did. Well, a lot of things changed, and how I came to Hawaii was this friend of mine, American guy, who got thrown out of the Philippines, came to Rome and said, let's go to Hawaii, get plenty Filipinos. Since we speak a couple of languages, Filipino, let's go to Hawaii. And
see how you can help there.
Yeah, and so eventually we landed in Hawaii, but though the church didn't want us, no? The bishop didn't want us, and as soon as we came to Hawaii 1 week later, I got involved with the Halemohalo people.
Okay.
With the leprosy patients in Pearl City who
were
facing the eviction too. So I got involved there, and that was great. And so 1 year later, and that was in 1979, we were asked, this Ed and myself, to come to Waianae and serve here at the Church of Sacred Heart. And that's when we found out that there was this 5 acres of land completely empty and abandoned. So we said we need to do something, not knowing what we were going to do.
Okay. And when you came to Honolulu, what and people learned that you were headed for Waianae, what was their advice? What was their description of Waianae?
At the time, you know, everybody was kind of, oh, Waianae, first is very far, yeah? Yes. Oh, far. Second, the reputation wasn't too good. Well, that's why we came, because he was so nice, no? We felt we came to Waianae before and met people. I thought it was great. So that was 29 years ago, and I'm still here. And I still think that it's great. So.
Okay, you come to Waianae, you go out to Makaha, and there's a acre parcel. Describe what you saw when you first got there.
You know, there were, on that 5 acres, there were 3 old Quonset that they were, well, the land was purchased by the church in 1950s when Chinho divided the land in Makaha.
Makaha Valley, yes.
And the church bought that parcel of land thinking to build a church. But they never did. So there were 3 Quonset that the church put in the 50s, and they were still there. And but just next to the Quonset, the whole 5 acres was just pure bushes. There was no one tree. To go through this land, that used the machete and see where the land will end. You know, next to the school, it was a mess, so much rubbish and stuff, and the Quonset were falling apart. And well, that's how the land was at the time. So I went to see Eric. I didn't know Eric. Somebody told me there is a guy who is really great, Eric.
Eric Inos.
Eric Inos. And I say, Eric, we have this land over there. I don't know what to do. I don't know nothing. So one day on the door of my house, of my Quonset, there was, I'll come tomorrow with a tractor. Yeah, so he came. The tractor wouldn't do too good because the land was really hard. But little by little, we started to clear with the help of the Waianae, the Waianae Rap Center students.
Okay.
High school students, and we have an alternative school there through the Waianae Rap Center, and we started to clear the land, take out all the rocks and dig out all the Aila Hoa, and little by little started to plant.
And that hard labor was actually good for those students at the Rep Center who were working through their own problems at that time.
And one of them is still working with me.
One of them is still there?
Yeah.
29 years
He came afterwards. One day he came and said, you remember me? I said, no. So he told me the name. I said, oh, yeah, I remember now. So
you remember now because he was a challenge at the time?
One of those. Okay. But nice kids. And still they are now, you see. So that is the beginning of the land. And eventually, well, I got married and I started to live in the land with my family. And I would say when I started the place, I didn't know anything. One day, we had to put the pipes down for the water, and Eric said, you know, we need some PVC pipes. I said, excuse me, PVC pipes? Yeah, you know, pipes for the water. I said, well, I don't know what it is, but if you want, I go and buy them.
Right.
No? But you know, we need 3/4 inch, and we need some 1/2 inch, and we need inches. I grew up with metrics.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was.
So just to tell you, I didn't know absolutely nothing. Yeah.
So you could say that you grew as the place grew.
These 29 years, I really learned a lot. I learned from the people in Waianae. I learned a little bit of the Hawaiian culture that I respect highly, and I learned from the children that they are really a source. They're really educators. The children are the real educators, yeah. But I learned from the land. I still get up in the morning and I look at the land and I look at the mountains and I get emotional. After 29 years, you know, sometimes I think we talk about Aloha Aina, but sometimes we abuse that. It's not really that feeling, that romantic feeling. It's like when you are married for so long and still you can tell your wife, I love you. I can bring you a flower when I found a flower. I can give you a kiss before I leave the house. I mean, though sometimes if you feel like, oh, no?
Yes.
Not every day is like that, but still you get that, no?
The relationship,
The relationship
with the land.
Yeah.
So how did the relationship, okay, you came out, you cleared the land, you grew some food. Now how did the relationship evolve with the school? Makaha Elementary.
Yes, we started in 1979, and afterwards some of the teachers around 1986, they started to come and say, can we have a piece of land to plant something? Sure, so I will help them. Another teacher will come, I will help them. One day, the principal of the school, Hazel Sumile, came and said, well, Gigi, you know what? Why don't you work with all the kids? I said, sure. And I always say sure, and I don't know what I get involved with. You see, don't say, okay. So, in fact, it started 20 years ago. That's when we start to work with the school. Of course, little by little, we develop some ideas, and together, and things develop more and more. But the most beautiful thing is the relationship that has been created between the land, us, the children, and the teachers, and the administration, and the people in the school.
And the community.
And the community. Right? Just to tell you an example, yesterday, today was the first day of school, and yesterday we gathered all the teachers in this special place that we created together. It's called Vaonalani. And we have a fountain that is like the taro leaf. We put the water, and each teacher took leaf of the kukui nut and expressed a desire or a feeling, and we put it in that fountain, because kukui nut is the light, yeah? So,
which is a metaphor for seeking knowledge.
That's right, yeah. So, and after our kumukia got all these leaves and put together and make a beautiful lake. So now we're going to do this with all the children when they start to come next week. Because it's important to me that education is really to touch the heart of people. It's not a share of facts or things that you can find in a book. It's really to help to change what's inside. And how would we change what's inside if we only give information to people? I think we need to do something that it goes deeper. So when we plant with the children, first we ask them to hold the seeds in their hand, because the seeds are alive, give energy. And afterwards, when we plant, we say, after we cover, we don't bury the seeds because they are alive. We cover the seeds. We say good night to the seeds. It's important because we have to be gentle and knowing that it's life that grows. So these things I find many times. I meet these children, now they've grown up in the street. Hey, Mr. Gigi, you remember me? No, too big now. I remember we came to the farm and we planted. Oh yeah, by the way, what did we say when we planted? Oh, good night seeds, good. But how many seeds we planted like when we planted corn? Oh, I don't know. When we planted beans, I don't know. But they remember the good night.
Right.
So that is important, is the attitude towards things. The knowledge, the other things, you can find in a book, you can find with someone, you know. But the feeling of doing things is different. So.
And it stays with them even into their adult.
Yeah. And that's nice, you know. I feel that what we do is not a big thing, but it's like, you know, the rain will come down. Each drop is important. No, it doesn't matter how big or small the drop is. So it's important. We put them all together, and in Waianae, so many beautiful things happening. This is a special place.
Well, I agree with you. Having grown up here and having raised my family here, it is the most special place to me. Gigi, there was a book that was written about the farm. Can you hold that book up and talk about it briefly?
This book is called Through the Eyes of Children. And there are three names in here. In fact, this guy who came and we started the farm together, he is back in the Philippines a long time. And he's organizing in the Philippines, elderly people, his 3 children. It's a wonderful guy. Lilet Subedi, who is our executive director, and we've been working for many years together. And myself, but we are not the author.
Okay.
We are only the ones that kind of pick up things. The author is the land.
Sort of like those leaves.
Yeah.
Picked it up and put it together.
Yeah. Because the authors are the land, the plants, the animals, the children, the parents, the community. Those are the authors, because these are the stories that reflect some reflection from parents, from children, the way that we try to stay with the children and share with the children. So practically, it's not a textbook, but it's mainly tools.
It's an expression of experiences which in themselves teach the lessons.
Yes.
Now this book just came out, right? Last year?
7 months ago.
7 months ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it still available?
Oh, yeah.
So if someone wanted to know the history, the ambiance, the ano of the farm and the relationship, where would they find it?
Well, you can call our number, that is 695-8978.
One more time?
695-8978.
And that same number, if someone wants to come and they see this, they feel what you're talking about, Gigi, and they go, I want to come and I want to volunteer or I want to learn, they can call that same number. Can they ask for you?
They can ask for me, or they can ask for anybody. They can ask for me. But also because we have different programs. One is we have many schools that come to visit. Last year we have 5,000 children who came to visit the farm. Plus every day we have the children from Makaha Elementary. And two times a month we have parents and children who come together. We do different projects with them, right? Like we did solar oven, solar dryers, we did some gardening, and we did some cooking, and plus the taking care of the farm and planting. And everything that is planted by the children and parents, everything is taken on by them. We don't sell anything practically. But one thing that's important, just to show the spirit of the children, is that every morning when they come, they have to chant, asking permission to enter the farm. So
it teaches them this feeling of reciprocation, this feeling of being incorporated into the farm.
And respect that we have to ask permission. When we enter a house, we don't go in. we ask permission. Can I come in?
That's the most important lesson I
Yeah.
think anyone can learn. Gigi, we've already gone through 30 minutes.
No.
Yes, we have. And so I'm going to have to wrap this up right
Okay,
now.
thank
but
you.
what's that number again? So people get interested.
695-8978.
Okay. Mahalo nui for
Thank you. Mahalo.
you coming
mahalo.
and sharing this with us.
Mahalo.
Mahalo to the audience tonight. If you're interested, please give Gigi a call. That invitation is there. It's open. It's genuine. And you cannot go to the farm without being touched, without being connected. Mahalo for watching William Aila Presents. We hope you enjoyed this show, and we hope you come back for future shows. Aloha and good night.
Uhola ia ka makalohala, pua I ke alohala. Kuka ia ka halohala, pawehi mai nā lehua. Mai ko o kuia ka halawaila, mahalo e nā akua. Mahalo e nā kupunala ea, mahalo me ke alohala.